She is one of the nicest girls, and if whoever did this is watching, just, she's so nice, just please bring her back.
After a month of searching, Reno police say they've found the body of a 19-year-old missing college student.
Friday, February 15th, 2008. A man named Alberto Jimenez is cutting across a vacant lot in an industrial park in Reno, Nevada. He's just trying to grab some food. Something catches his eye. Amidst the frozen brush and debris, there's a discarded Christmas tree. And under it, what he first thinks is a mannequin. It has to be. He gets closer. It's not a mannequin. It's the body of a young woman with no clothing other than a pair of socks. When police arrive, they process a scene of profound tragedy. But as they examine the victim, they find something placed with intention under her right knee. It's two pairs of women's underwear, one black, one pink. This discovery changes everything. This isn't just a murder. This is a performance. This is a taunt. Forensics would later confirm the body was that of 19-year-old Brianna Denison, who had been abducted from a friend's house nearly a month earlier. But the underwear, that's where the case descends into a nightmare. The black pair belonged to another unknown victim. But the pink pair, they didn't belong to Brianna. They belonged to her best friend, Katie, the friend whose house she was stolen from, a friend who didn't even know they were missing. How does a killer abduct one woman but leave with another woman's belongings? How does he know whose to take, and why would he leave this trophy, this signature on the body of his victim for police to find? This single detail is the key to understanding a predator who is not just violent, but arrogant. A man who is hunting, escalating, and taunting an entire city. This one act, to me, is one of the most chilling and bizarre pieces of psychopathic theater I have ever come across. To understand what happened, we have to go back to the beginning, back to the night the nightmare began, at a house that was supposed to be safe. Hello and welcome to the channel. What you just heard is the end of the story. But for the family of Brianna Denison and for the city of Reno, the terror began on January 20th, 2008. And as we'll see, this case reveals a series of systemic failures, chilling coincidences, and a timeline of escalating violence that is frankly terrifying. 9 a.m., Sunday, January 20th. In a house just off of the University of Nevada campus, the air is cold and stale with the remnants of last night's party. Katie, a college student, walks into the kitchen to make breakfast. Her friend Jessica is with her. They look at the couch. It's empty. Katie points. Where's Brianna? They figure she's just moved upstairs, maybe to an empty roommate's bed. It was a party house. The night before, there were at least 10 people sleeping there. They don't think much of it. It's that casual dismissal that in hindsight is so heartbreaking. They were just college kids thinking their friend had found a comfier spot. At 9:45 a.m., Katie tries again. She knocks on the bedroom door. She thinks Brianna is in. Silence. She knocks again, this time, pounding, frantic. Nothing. Katie realizes Brianna isn't in the house, and that's when the quiet, hungover morning shatters. They look back at the couch, and they see it. Her cell phone is there. Her purse is there. Her wallet, her driver's license, her jacket, her shoes. A bag of clothes she'd packed. Her entire life is sitting on that living room floor. It's winter in Reno. It's freezing. There is snow on the ground. Brianna Denison would not have left without her shoes. And as Katie waits for Brianna's mother to arrive, her eyes fall on the pillow she'd given her friend just hours before. 2 small spots of blood. This wasn't a girl who wandered off. This wasn't a friend who left with a guy. This was something else. This was a home invasion. This was an abduction. To understand what was lost, you have to understand who she was. And this is a part of the story that I think often gets overlooked. We focus so much on the monster we forget the victim. Brianna wasn't just a 19-year-old college student. She was, by all accounts, a truly radiant human being. She was studying psychology at Santa Barbara City College with dreams of working with children. Her father had died suddenly when she was just 6, and this tragedy had forged an unbreakable bond between her and her mother, Bridget. Her mother said, "We had to team up. She became very protective of me because I was all she had left." Think about that. This wasn't just a typical mother-daughter bond. It was a partnership forged from loss. Brianna wasn't just a daughter. She was a protector. They called themselves a team. Her friends said they were like best friends. One friend, Danielle, who had known her since nursery, said Brianna was the nicest person she had ever met. She said, "Throughout my life, she's taught me a lot about kindness. She did not miss a birthday for anyone, acquaintance, best friend, family members." This wasn't just a social obligation for her, it was her character. She was genuinely, fundamentally kind. So in January 2008, she was home for winter break. She was back in Reno, ready for a weekend of snowboarding and partying with her high school friends. On Friday, January 18th, she heads to her friend Katie's house. This house, located just off the UNR campus, was the group's home base for the weekend. And I want you to remember this house. It was described as being like a hotel. People were always coming and going. This culture of casual, open-door living is so common in college towns, and it's a culture this predator would exploit. On Saturday, the 19th, Brianna spends the day with her mom. They do laundry. They go see the movie 27 Dresses. It's a perfectly normal, happy day. Brianna is supposed to go to a concert that night, but she has a cold. She's not feeling it. And this is one of those moments in the story that just sticks in my throat. Her mom, Bridget, told her, "You can be sick tomorrow. You really like this band." It's a tiny, insignificant moment of encouragement, the kind of thing a mother says 1,000 times. But it's the kind of memory that in hindsight becomes a private hell, a what if that can never be answered. At 9:00 p.m., Brianna hugs her mom goodbye. She goes to the concert. She meets up with Katie and Jessica. They hop a shuttle to the Sands Regency Casino Hotel for another party. Around 3:30 a.m. on Sunday morning, Brianna and Katie grab a ride back to the house. Brianna is tired. The night before, she'd been crammed in Katie's bed with her friends. This time, she just wants to crash. She decides to sleep on the couch in the living room. The couch is right by a glass door that was never locked. At 4 a.m., she and Katie say goodnight. At 4:23 a.m., she sends a final text to her boyfriend in Oregon. And then the house falls silent. Just 4.5 hours later, her friends would wake up and Brianna Denison would be gone. When Brianna's mom, Bridget, arrived, the panic was already setting in. And then Katie showed her the pillow, a stain of red-colored fluid. It was small, but it was undeniable. Bridget immediately called the police. Officers descended on the house. Lieutenant Robert McDonald, who was in charge of the detective division, was actually supposed to be off that day. But one call changed everything. He said from the second he heard the details, it did not sound good. And let's look at the scene from an investigative standpoint. This is not a chaotic, violent crime scene. There are no signs of a struggle. But the details are wrong. All her belongings are there. In the freezing cold, no one leaves without a phone, a purse, or shoes. This rules out her leaving voluntarily. The stain of red-colored fluid on the pillow. 2 small spots and a tiny spatter, mixed with saliva or mucus, and mascara stains. The blanket she was using. It was found in the kitchen. A brown stuffed bear she'd been using as an extra pillow. It was gone. To me, these details paint a terrifying picture. The lack of a struggle is in itself a crucial clue. It means the attack was a blitz. He was on her before she could even process what was happening. The red fluid, the mucus, the mascara. A forensic pathologist would later opine that this meant her face was pressed down, likely to silence her. Evidence pointed to a desperate fight for breath, a chilling moment of total control. The moved blanket suggests the abductor carried her. The missing bear. A trophy. A spontaneous decision. Or perhaps something used to further silence her. We don't know. But it's weird. And it shows a mind that isn't just focused on the abduction, but on the tokens of the crime. Police search dogs were brought in. They picked up Brianna's scent on the couch, followed it directly out the unlocked glass door to the edge of the street. And then the scent vanished. She was put in a vehicle. This was not a missing person. This was, as police immediately concluded, an abduction. The second the police identified this as an abduction, the clock started ticking, and the investigation exploded. The local search and rescue team was drafted. Officers went door to door. They interviewed everyone in the house, everyone at the party. There were at least 10 other people in that house, and every single one of them was interviewed, polygraphed, and ruled out. Now, remember that text to her boyfriend at 4:23 a.m. The transcript mentions her aunt saying it was a breaking up kind of stuff, that he was jealous and saying awful things. In any other case, this would make him a prime suspect, the jealous boyfriend. But he was in Oregon. He was cleared. This was a red herring, a tragic little piece of teenage drama that ultimately meant nothing. The real clue was the house itself, that unlocked door. Investigators swabbed the back doorknob, and they got it. A full DNA profile, an unknown male. The community, desperate to help, immediately raised $150,000 to help clear a backlog of 3,000 DNA samples at the local crime lab. Think about that. This wasn't just a standard police fundraiser. This was the community so terrified and so desperate for answers, essentially paying the state to do its job faster. It shows a complete loss of faith in the system's normal pace. This wasn't just a police investigation. It became a community crusade. And every single one of those 3,000 samples came back. No match. The suspect's DNA was run through the national database, CODIS. No match. This meant their predator, their kidnapper, was not in the system. He was a ghost. And this is where the story takes its first dark, horrifying turn. This is the mini surprises. The police, now armed with this unknown DNA profile, didn't just look at Brianna's case. They looked at other unsolved cases in the area, and they found him. He hadn't started with Brianna. She was his escalation. Let's go back 2 months. November 13th, 2007. A 21-year-old student is in a parking lot on campus. A man grabs her from behind, pushes her to the ground at gunpoint. He tells her not to scream. She does anyway. She fights, she screams, and it spooks him. He runs away, dropping a packet of condoms as he flees. Let's pause on that. He dropped condoms. This wasn't a robbery. He planned to commit a violent act of a sexual nature. He just failed. Psychologically, this failure would have been infuriating for him. The gun was a sign of overcompensation of nervousness. And when his victim defied him, his plan fell apart. That failure, in my opinion, is what directly led to the increased violence of the next attack. Now, 1 month later, December 16th, 2007, early hours of the morning. A 22-year-old exchange student is just outside her home. She's grabbed from behind. This time, he covers her nose and mouth. He's learned from his first failure. No gun, no chance to scream. He uses silent, overwhelming force. She struggles, loses consciousness, and wakes up in a truck. He drives a short distance and forces her into a violent encounter inside the vehicle. He tells her not to look at him. Before leaving, he takes an intimate piece of her clothing as a disturbing keepsake. And then he drives her home. He tells her to get out and not look back. But she did look. She saw details. A white male hair on his chin. And the truck. It had a distinctive radio with red and blue lights. And on the floor, a single baby shoe. What does a baby shoe mean? This detail is so specific, so personal. Is he a father? Is it a token from his own past, or is it just random detritus? To me, it suggests a double life. A life of domesticity, perhaps, with a family running parallel to this life of brutal predation. It's a chilling contradiction. He also told her something deeply disturbing. He said he was doing this because he was mad at his girlfriend. He was projecting his rage onto a stranger. And then he told her to go home and take a shower, a clear-headed, forensic-aware command to destroy evidence. This shows he's not just an impulsive attacker, he's a thinking one. Police were able to get a DNA sample from her. They compared that DNA to the sample from the November attack. It was a match, and now they compared it to the DNA on the doorknob at Katie's house. It was a perfect match. This changed everything. This was no longer a random abduction. This was the work of a serial sex offender. And I find this part of the investigation absolutely chilling. We are watching a predator evolve in real time. Attack 1 in November. He's armed, but his victim's screams scare him off. He fails. He's angry. Attack 2 in December. He learns. No gun. He uses incapacitation, covering her mouth and nose to gain control. He succeeds. He takes a trophy. He commands her to destroy evidence. He's gaining confidence. Attack 3 in January. He escalates again. This jump from attacking women on the street to a home invasion is a massive psychological leap. It shows a total loss of fear. He's boldly walking through an unlocked door into a room with at least 10 sleeping people and taking one of them. He feels invisible. He feels like a god. The police knew this. They also linked him to another incident where a student woke up to hear someone trying to force their back door open so hard it bowed. This was a man who was hunting. He was testing doors looking for the one easy point of entry. And the police now had a terrifying realization. This man who had already assaulted 2 women and abducted a third was still out there, and he was getting bolder. The city of Reno went into a state of absolute panic. And can you blame them? A sketch was released. The suspect was described as a white male between 28 and 40 years old, standing between 5 feet 6 inches and 6 feet tall, driving either an SUV or an extended cab pickup truck. After that, sales of guns and home security systems surged by 30%. Students were terrified. Young women in Reno felt like they were being hunted. I found quotes from residents at the time, and they perfectly capture the mood. One woman said, "I think it would make a lot of us young women feel safe at home knowing that he's not out and about. I would like something big for to happen to him. It'll set an example. It'll definitely put a stamp on what we expect here in this community." Another resident said something prophetic. "There's something mentally wrong with him, and my personal feeling would be that he would have become a serial killer if he could have, because his crimes kept getting progressively worse." She was absolutely right. He was a serial killer in the making. And I want to touch on a detail here from the transcript. The man who lived next door to Katie's house, he told police that in the early hours of that same morning, around 4:30 or 5:00 a.m., he was in his living room with the lights off. He saw a shadow outside, and then someone tried to force open his door. He just dismissed it. He thought it was a drunk kid at the wrong house. Think about that. Just think about the what if. What if his door had been unlocked? What if Brianna's door had been locked? This entire tragedy was balanced on the head of a pin. The killer was just walking down the street jiggling handles until he found one that gave way. The search for Brianna was now a desperate race against time. The community was incredible. More than 300 volunteers, including Nevada's First Lady, were out searching the frozen Truckee River. Thousands of tips poured in. Over 700 men voluntarily gave their DNA to be tested just to clear themselves and help investigators. The billboards in Reno, normally advertising casino performers, now just showed Brianna's face. Her mother, Bridget, was a pillar of strength. She went on national television holding back unimaginable pain and spoke directly to the abductor. "It's time to give her back. We miss her and we love her. We know she's hurt and it's time to give her back to us. We need her." But the days turned into weeks, and the hope that she would be found alive began to fade. This brings us back to that frozen field on February 15th, back to Alberto Jimenez, who thought he saw a mannequin. The next day, February 16th, Deputy Chief Jim John held a press conference. The remains were identified as Brianna Denison. The official cause of death was asphyxiation. The crime was believed to be motivated by a violent personal intent. Investigators concluded she had likely been suffocated inside the house on that couch, her face pressed into the pillow. The suspect then carried her out, placed her in his truck, and drove her to that field, abandoning her there. She was found without clothing except for a pair of socks. And then we come to the detail from the opening the predator's calling card. Beneath her right knee, investigators found 2 intimate pieces of clothing, one light, one dark. This is a complex character. This isn't just a bad man. This is a psychopath, a performer. Let's analyze this. To me, this is the most disturbing part of the entire case. This isn't merely disposal. This is staging. Police had to make a difficult call. They reached out to Katie, Brianna's friend, and asked her to describe what her friend had been wearing. She must have been confused at first. But then when they mentioned the light one, she froze. It was hers. This man, this monster, had entered the house. He kidnapped Brianna. But before leaving, he rummaged through Katie's belongings, found one of her intimate garments, and took it with him. This implies he spent time in that house. He wasn't just in and out. He was calm enough, arrogant enough to browse through the personal belongings of the other sleeping women. He took a trophy from the house, Katie's intimate garment, and later left that trophy at the remote site alongside Brianna's remains, together with another piece believed to belong to an unidentified victim. This was a message, a deliberate taunt to the police, a performance of control and power. He was saying, I was here. I took her. I took something from her friend. I've done this before, the Dark One, and you can't stop me. He was crafting a signature, intoxicated by his own delusion of brilliance. The signs around Reno changed from Bring Bri back to Bring Bri justice. The city was in mourning, but they were also terrified, because the man who did this was still out there. The FBI and 40 detectives were working around the clock, but the weeks turned into months. Spring turned into summer. Summer turned into fall. The killer, it seemed, had vanished. For 10 months, the case went cold. The tips dried up. The fear in Reno subsided into a dull, grieving anxiety. The killer, this ghost, had gotten away with it. Until November 1st, 2008, the police receive a tip. A woman named Michelle calls in. She says her friend Carlene has been telling her something that's been bothering her. Carlene's ex-boyfriend had found women's underwear in his truck. And when she asked him about it, his behavior was extremely odd. He claimed he found it, but he seemed agitated. This ex-boyfriend, she said, was acting strangely around the time of the murder. He was spacing out, not himself. And then the two most important details. First, his truck matched the description of the one police were looking for. Second, he had suddenly moved out of Reno right after Brianna's body was found. And she gave them more. He had a history of animal abuse. He had broken a puppy's leg. He had a history of domestic violence. He'd been abusive and had lunged at someone with a knife. This is the classic triad of escalating violence. Animal abuse is so often a precursor to human violence. His name was James Michael Biela. James Biela, 27 years old, a former Marine, a construction worker, a father. That last part, a father. It makes the baby shoe detail even more sinister. It was likely from his own child, a symbol of his double life casually resting on the floor of the truck he used to commit his crimes. And as police quickly discovered, he knew the UNR campus very well. He had worked on a construction job there just the previous year. He knew the layout. He knew the party houses. He knew where students lived. This was it. This was their guy. The police put him under surveillance. They called him. And what's chilling is that when they spoke to him, he didn't even ask what they were investigating. He just played dumb. The next day, he met with officers and refused to give a voluntary DNA sample. This is, for me, a screaming red flag. An innocent person in a city terrified by a serial killer would be falling over themselves to help to clear their name. They would be offended they were even being considered. A guilty person lawyers up. But Biela made a mistake. He had a girlfriend, Carlene, and they shared a son. The police spoke to her. Biela had claimed he was with her the night Brianna went missing. She told the police that was a lie, and she gave them permission to take a DNA sample from their son. Using familial DNA, they were able to determine that the child's biological father, James Biela, was almost certainly the same person who had left his DNA on the doorknob on the exchange student and on Brianna's body. On November 25th, 2008, as James Biela went to pick his son up from preschool, the very image of a normal, loving father, he was taken into custody. He was required to give a DNA sample. It was a 1-1 match. They had him. The ghost had a name. James Biela was charged with murder, kidnapping, and 3 counts of sexual assault. He pleaded not guilty. And this is where we talk about requirement number 6, complex relationships. The trial of James Biela reveals a sickening portrait of a man and the broken world he came from. The 3-week trial was harrowing. The 2 surviving victims testified against him. The woman from the parking garage identified him in court. The exchange student who had flown in from Taiwan described the truck, the radio with the red and blue lights, the fibers that matched his vehicle. She recounted how he told her he was mad at his girlfriend and commanded her to take a shower. The defense tried to argue that there were significant differences between the attacks. They said, "Look, the first attack involved a gun, the others didn't." To me, that's not a defense, it's a confession of his evolution. It's the most desperate, flimsy argument I can imagine. Of course they were different. He was learning. He learned the gun drew attention. He learned that silent incapacitation was more effective. They weren't different attackers. They were the same attacker on a learning curve, perfecting his craft. But the most damning testimony the moment the mask was ripped off completely came from Biela's former supervisor, John Lahm. Lahm testified that on February 15, 2008, the exact morning Brianna's body was found, Biela showed up to work, quit his job, demanded his last paycheck in cash, and said he was moving to Washington. The timing is damning. He saw his crime had been discovered and he ran. Lahm, not knowing who he was talking to, mentioned the discovery of the body. He asked Biela how he felt about it, and James Biela, according to his supervisor, said she probably had it coming. And then he smiled. What a horrifying, tragic, and complex relationship. This isn't a father defending his son. It's a broken man, someone who openly admitted to past crimes and substance abuse, looking at his own creation and recognizing the darkness. There's no love there, just a blunt, awful acknowledgement of the truth. And that last line, "I don't get caught," it's a narcissistic boast. He's almost offended that his son was careless enough to be captured while he, the smarter criminal, had escaped accountability for his own wrongdoing. This is the environment that shaped James Biela. It's not just a cycle of brutality, it's a cycle of toxic criminal arrogance. But for me, the traumatic childhood defense rings hollow. Does it explain his brutality? Perhaps. Does it excuse it? Never. Not when he smiled, showing not a hint of remorse. Brianna's cousin, K.C. Denison, spoke directly to Biela in court, calling him a monster and a coward, saying Brianna was a girl anyone would have been lucky to know. After just 6 hours of deliberation, the jury returned. Guilty of count 1, a violent attack of a sexual nature. Guilty of count 2, kidnapping. Guilty of count 3, another violent act. Guilty of count 4, homicide in the first degree. Guilty of count 5, a violent act against Brianna Denison. The jury then faced their final decision: life imprisonment or the capital sentence. They chose the capital sentence. This case is a tragedy. But what makes it a profound tragedy is that it was so preventable. This is the lesson. This is the societal message. James Biela had a history. He had been arrested for felony domestic abuse. But at the time, Nevada law did not require a DNA sample to be taken for that arrest. Think about it. If Brianna's law had been in place, his DNA would have been in the system. When police linked the DNA from the November and December violent attacks, they would have run it through CODIS and they would have gotten a hit. James Biela would have been arrested in December 2007, and Brianna Denison would have woken up on that couch on January 20th, 2008. She would have made breakfast with her friends. She would have gone back to Santa Barbara. She would be 36 years old today, probably working with children just like she dreamed. Her mother, Bridget, turned her grief into action. She campaigned tirelessly. And in May 2013, Brianna's law was signed. Now in Nevada, anybody arrested for any felony must provide a DNA sample. Bridget said it best, "My daughter could very well have been alive today if this law would have been in place." This is Brianna's legacy. It's a law written in pain, but it has saved lives. It will save lives. The story, however, doesn't end there. In a final cruel twist of fate, tragedy struck the Denison family again. 10 years after Brianna was taken, her 19-year-old cousin Caitlin Denison went missing. She told her family she was flying to Texas with a man she'd recently met. Her sister said Caitlin told her the man made her frightened for her life. That was in 2018. As of the recording of this video, Caitlin Denison is still missing. It's a wound reopened, a nightmare this family has to live through twice. So what is the lesson here? What is the advice? For me, this case is a brutal reminder about the illusion of safety. A friend's house, a college campus, a couch in a living room. These places feel safe. But safety is not a passive state. It's an active practice. That unlocked door. It's the detail that haunts me. It's not victim blaming. It is a fact. The monster in this story, James Biela, is 100% responsible for his actions. But the world is full of monsters, and they look for the unlocked door. They look for the easy target. That single simple act of locking a deadbolt was the only thing standing between a normal Sunday morning and a citywide nightmare. The lesson from Brianna's story is twofold. First, be vigilant. Lock your doors. Watch out for your friends. Trust your gut. That casual, "it won't happen to me" feeling is a predator's best friend. And second, when the worst happens, fight back. Fight for justice like those survivors did. Fight for your loved ones like Brianna Denison did. And fight to change the system so that the next family doesn't have to endure the same nightmare. On January 20th, 2008, Brianna became the daughter of the entire community. Her mother, Bridget, shared these words on behalf of the family, and I want to end with them. We want to say that we are grateful for many things. Grateful for the gift of Brianna in all of our lives. Grateful for the joy that she brought us, and for the cherished memories of her that are a source of comfort. Memories that give us strength to see beyond our sorrow, sustaining us in spite of our grief. Please don't forget Brianna. If this story moved you, please take a moment to like this video, share it, so her story is never forgotten, and subscribe for more true stories that deserve to be told. Thank you for watching.